Hey, it's Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. I wanted to give everyone a reminder, if you're living in a condo or a townhome, is to attend your annual general meeting every year. It's so important. This is where some pretty important things get voted on, and you'll want to be on top of it. Unfortunately, though, in Vancouver and with the AGMs I attend, very few are attended by more than about 50% of the owners. So I guess it's about the same turnout you get for a national or provincial election in Canada or the US. 50% of the people, I guess, just don't care. And it always surprises me because, as I say, some pretty important things can get passed without you knowing about it, and then you're going to be in for quite a shock about 3 weeks later when you find out you just got hit with a $40,000 or $50,000 levy. And that's exactly what's been happening the last few years here in BC. We had a big condo boom. A lot of condos were built in the late 70s, early 80s. I think in BC right now, there's something like 3,400 complexes in the province that are between 35 and 45 years old. So these complexes are going to be in need, or do need right now, a lot of remedial work that's all come due in one shot. Things like the siding, the balconies, the windows, the elevators, the common areas need to be upgraded. They're probably getting ready to update or replace their second roof job. So they're pretty expensive. Now, I've had a few cases in the last year where it's an older complex. They hire an engineering company to take a look at what needs to be done. It's a laundry list usually. The owners bandy together at the AGM and discuss it a little bit. They put it off, decide let's get some more quotes from some different trades and some different contractors. This can sometimes go on for 2 or 3 years. And what happens then is people that are trying to sell their units or want to sell their units, the owner needs to get a copy of that, of all the minutes as well as the engineering report. If there's all this work that needs to be done and the Strata hasn't done anything about it, naturally you can imagine it's going to spook the buyers, so you can't sell the unit. So eventually what happens, and this is usually the way it goes, you get a core group of owners that have been trying to sell or want to sell in the next few years. They get fed up and they say, listen, let's vote and let's get this whole thing done in one shot. Instead of doing it in stages, which is what most stratas would do the windows this year for $5,000, 3 years later, let's do the siding, we'll do it in a 5 or 6 year project. They decide to do the whole thing in one shot. They call an AGM, and unfortunately a lot of people either don't read their AGM minutes to see what's going to be voted on or don't care. Sure enough, they get a core group at the AGM, enough to get a 3/4 resolution to pass it, and surprise, surprise, these owners that were in the dark about it, they get a notice in the mail a couple of weeks later saying your first installment check for $4,000 is due in 2 weeks, and here's a timetable over the next 12 months for your other $50,000 that you owe us. It can be pretty tough to do. Now, if people have been in the building for a while and have some equity, they can usually get a line of credit to cover it. A lot of people, though, if they bought in the last 5 or 6 years, don't have a lot of equity built up in that property, and it can put them into a difficult financial situation. So you should always be on top of your AGM, attend it. If you can't attend it in person, fill out your proxy and vote. It's like the old saying, you have no right to complain about the government unless you vote. And same thing with your Strata. You've got no right to complain about how they're running your building if you don't attend your AGM. The other thing is if you've got the time, I strongly suggest, at least for 1 year anyways, vote or volunteer to go on to Strata Council. You'll learn an awful lot about how Strata Corps are run in BC, how you're paying tradespeople, and the ins and outs of a Strata Corporation in BC. So if you can, volunteer at least for 1 year. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.